side split stretching. We do this every single day to practice consistency, to build a little bit of community, because if I'm here every day, you're here every day, eventually we're going to start to get to know people who are here every day. And with that, it makes training a little bit more fun. It makes suffering on the floor a little bit more entertaining. I hope to share some good vibes. I hope you contribute some good vibes in the chat. And I hope that makes it way more fun to work on hard things together, like suffering on the floor for side splits. So, the next thing I usually say is, and that's how you make progress. You keep on doing the consistency, you keep on doing the hard stuff, and progress. Hopefully we'll make a whole bunch of that together. Cool? Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is warm up. You don't have to come into this with any pre-warmed upness. You do all of it together. We're going to start with hip cars. They look like this. We're going to start by opening up or lifting our knee up as high as it can go in the front. We're going to open it up all the way to the side. Keep opening, opening, opening. Keep that knee high. Rotate the leg so that the ankle is as high as the knee. I'm going to turn around so you can see what I'm talking about. You don't have to turn. Work on that ankle. Focus on the ankle. Maybe even lift the ankle higher than the knee. Then bring the leg down and back. Focus on flexing the hamstrings, flexing the glutes. Feel that stretch in the front of your hip flexors. Pull this knee behind you. Try to keep your upper body straight. If you're struggling a little bit, you're bending a little bit, that is totally fine, but try your best. All right, that is one rep. The goal of hip cars is to make sure that you are using your own muscles to pull yourself into a deep range of motion. So you get a little bit stronger and mobile all at the same time, because those are super related. Let's go ahead and start our 10 reps. High knee, open, ankle, down and back. High knee, open, ankle, down and back. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Oh, she got that leg. Go ahead and do some quick moves. Then let's get into our next set. Other leg, high knee, open, ankle up, down and back. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, open, up, back, open, knee, open, up, back. I think that's 9 and 10. Hip cars going forward is done. Give your hips a light massage. Hammer out those side glutes if you need to. And take a sip of water if you want. Alright, let's do hip cars going backwards. Same thing, but backwards. Back, side, ankle, knee, back, side, ankle, knee. Ooh, my hips cracked a little. Ankle, knee, back, side, ankle, knee, back, side, ankle, knee. I have completely forgotten to count, but I think that's like 6 or 7-ish. It feels like the 6 or 7. So that makes this 8, 9, and 10. All right, let's go to the other side. And wrap this up. Back, side, ankle, knee. There we go. We got that painful hip right there. And the second one was much better. Third one, there's no pain. All right. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Check it out. Bounce. Relax those muscles. Do some hip circles if you need to. Pound those outer hip areas. Give them a little light massage. And when you're ready, let's move on into warm-up exercise number 2. Classy says, I need to try this with you, but I'm laying in the bed. That's totally okay. It's Lomain says, too fast, but I'll keep trying. I will slow it down for next time. Don't worry. We don't have anything else that is quite that fast for the rest of the live. But thank you for the note, and I will try to slow it down. Slowing it down, however, does make it so that your muscles work a ton harder. So I don't know if it's only I don't know if it's gonna get easier or if it's gonna get harder when we do it slower. But you will get faster as your brain gets more used to the movement patterns. It'll really smooth out the transitions. And one day you're just going to realize, oh, I don't have to think about this at all. I can just start daydreaming and my leg will just keep on going through the motions. And that is why I sometimes forget to start counting. And I'm like, how many have I done? 6? 7? Yeah. All right. What else we got? What else we got? I think we just have a lot of people joining and hitting live. Typo. How long have you been doing this? I have been doing this particular live for about 6 minutes, but I have been doing some form of going live every single day doing side split stretching for about 3 or 4 months on YouTube and TikTok. And that means more people see it on YouTube and TikTok because it gets shared in that format. Before that, I was going on Instagram to a very small, tiny, itty bitty audience. So I got a lot of practice. But yeah, for most of the people in the chat who might appear to be regulars, they've been here at max 3 months. Most people have been here for about a month or so when the account started getting a little bit more traction. Classic says, I'm so glad you do this. Islomain says, I didn't know that. I'm just uncoordinated. Lovely. Gaeta, welcome back. Welcome back, Alec. It's good to see you again. Alec is one of the people who's been here for probably a whole month at this point. Okay. I don't know if I actually took a sip of the coffee. I just grabbed the cup thinking I was going to. Okay. We're going to move on into the elephant walk. And the elephant walk. Sorry, one sec. I'm going to fix my phone. It just keeps on slanting and starting to fall over sideways. The elephant walk looks a little bit like this. It's really about targeting the hamstrings, but if you're slightly higher up, if this is the best L shape you can get into, that's totally fine. As long as you're feeling the stretch in the hamstrings, we are good. All right. I want you to focus on your belly button. I want you to bring it down towards the ground, and you can keep your knees ever so slightly bent if that helps to keep your knees comfortable. But we want to feel the stretch in the hamstrings, so try your best and experiment. If you straighten out the knee, the hamstrings might feel even more intense. Figure out where you can get to without feeling pain. If you have no pain whatsoever, feel free to just lock out your knees. No worries there. And focus on bringing that belly button down. We're just going to hold this for 3 or 4 more seconds, and then we're going to start doing a little bit of movement. That movement looks like this. We're going to bend one knee. We're going to lean a little bit into that hip. We're going to bend the other knee, lean a little bit into that hip. We're just going to keep on switching back and forth. And then as we do that, you'll notice the hamstring stretch changing in each leg. And that is what we want to do. We want to still be bringing that belly button down. We want to be in a hamstring stretch. And we want to forcefully move a little bit while in that hamstring stretch to get all the things in that leg slowly shifting and moving. And take your time. Go nice and slow. This is just a warm-up. I say this is just a warm-up in that this should be chill. Don't take it seriously. Not that the rest of the workout is going to be even more intense, because the next one thing is probably the most intense part, and that's still part of the warm-up. But the goal of the warm-up is to get us warmed up, get a light sweat going, so that our muscles are able to stretch, and the actual stretches has a little bit less intensity. Okay. Now that we've been shifting those knees back and forth for a little bit, I hope you're feeling like it's easier to get into this deeper folded position. I've definitely started pretty much here feeling it tight, and I've gotten a couple inches, so I know I'm quite warmed up now. And with that, it's time to do some rotations. This is not the intense thing that I said was going to be next, but This feels really good. So let's do it. We're gonna rotate, and it's gonna look a little bit like this. We're gonna bend one knee. Right now, my left knee is bent, my right leg is straight. I'm gonna grab my right leg with my left hand, push against it, push my chest, lift my arms, rotate, rotate, rotate. Look at those fingers, and come on back down. Then do the other side. Now my left leg is straight, my right hand pushes against the left leg, chest rotates to the left, arm extends. We're trying to push that arm back behind our left side and come back down. You get a nice twist, nice rotation in the back. Your shoulder blades are firing to help lift your arms. Maybe your fingers, your forearms are working hard to reach behind you. Your eyes, your neck are rotated to look at those hands. And we can also get a little bit more hamstring stretch when we're at that position at the top. Take a deep inhale and then a deep exhale. And try to drop down, bring that belly button back down into your hamstring stretch. We're gonna just do 5 of these, and then we'll be ready for some Cossack switches. You can take these nice and slow. For I think was it Cassie? I talk a lot, so there's plenty of time to do as many as you want. You can do more than 5. You can do less than 5. You can do as many as you like because I talk for so much time. Okay, Cossack switches. Next thing that we're gonna do looks a little bit like this. We're gonna open up our legs decently wide. It doesn't have to be super wide, and you can adjust at any time, so it's not super important. Point your toes out around 30 to 45-ish degrees and try to drop down to one side. What we're going to do here is focus on that ankle stretch. You're going to feel some pressure in the front of the ankle right here. You're going to feel the stretch here in the Achilles tendon. It's going to go up into your calf. You're going to feel pressure at the hip because you're holding a lot of weight here. One thing to note is I want you to keep your knees traveling in the same direction that your toes are pointing. So if your toes are pointing that way, I want your knee to go that way. I don't want this. I don't want that. I want straightforward. Cool? So we're going to get into this deeper position. Keep your heels down. It might mean you can't go as far as this. Your knee might have to be a little straighter up into the air, and that is fine. That's part of the game of making progress. You got to start from wherever you're at. You got to push a little bit in the direction. Make sure in real life you're pushing your knee in the same direction that your toes are pointing. Okay? From here, now that we've hung out here for a little bit, let's talk about the other foot and give a little bit more time on this hip. This guy over here, heels down, toes up, knees are pointing up. This is called external leg rotation. We need it for the side splits later. And I'm just pointing out now so you know what I'm talking about. Heels are down, toes are up, knees are up. Let's shift our weight over to the other side and do the same thing that we just did for this leg on this leg. So, knees and toes traveling the same line. Heel is mostly down, feeling the pressure in the front of the ankle, feeling that stretch in the Achilles tendon, in the calf, pressure in the hip. If you put your elbow over your knee, it's easier to keep your body in that position. It takes some pressure off the hip. But if you want to feel like a badass, you can just sit here for a little bit and see if, you relax. Man, that's going to be really tiring. Maybe, yeah, keep your elbow on your knee. As you get more comfortable in this position, you can experiment with rotating the leg. I said point it out at around 30, 45 degrees. You can absolutely point it directly in front of you like you're doing a regular squat and still do it. So, experiment. All right, next up, now that you're getting comfortable in this deep position, we're going to start shifting from side to side. We're going to do 5 to 10 reps, whatever you're comfortable with. Mostly what I want you to feel is suddenly you're going to realize, oh, wow, I am suddenly so much smoother than when we first started on that first rep. That's basically your body saying, okay, cool, we're warmed up. All right, that might look a little bit like this. We're going to put our hands down, help shift our weight over to the other side. This first one is always gonna be a little bit weird, almost sticky. You're like, oh, okay, cool, I'm stuck here for a second. And I don't know how many we've already done. This might be 3. But as you do more of these, you might suddenly feel like, oh, okay, it's gotten a little bit smoother. I've ironed out some of those sticking points. And if putting your hands down is a little bit too easy, you can always remove your hands, put some more of that pressure back into your legs. And as you get more and more comfortable with these, this doesn't have to happen today. Over time, keep on coming back to the lives, practice consistency, and your skills will get better. You can really focus on leaving that heel down as you come from side to side. All right. Whoa, I just lost balance. My bad. Okay. I have absolutely no idea how many we've done, but I feel like we've done way more than 10. So come on up out of it, relax, and go grab a drink of water, because that was hard. That was a lot. Take a little break. We are moving into the actual stretches. That was our whole entire warm-up. So if you're warmed up, if you got a slight sweat going, then that did exactly what it was supposed to do. We got our hips warmed up. We got our upper body a little bit rotated. We got our hamstrings loosened up. And we worked all the little itty-bitty muscles around our hips so that they are prepared for what is to come. All right. The real Miss Blue says great stretches. Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you very much for being here and sharing the good vibes. I appreciate you. Okay. Philosophalin, welcome back. It's good to see you again, too. Okay. I got a whole bunch of people following the live. Welcome, 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 everybody. If you have no idea, because I haven't said it in a while, we do a live side split stretching show every single day at 9 p.m. Eastern. It might not be your time zone that it's at 9 p.m., but on my profile, it is scheduled, and that link will say whatever time zone it is on your phone. So you can just click that and come to it. But we start the live 20 minutes ago, and we do that every single day to practice consistency, to build a little bit of community, because if I'm here all the time, you're here all the time, we get to know each other, and hopefully sharing good vibes, good energy, sharing the same goal of getting better hip mobility, getting better at the side splits, makes it a lot easier for you to keep working out and suffering on the floor, because that stuff is hard, and hopefully we can make it a little bit easier, a little bit more fun, like this. Cool. So that sounds fun. Hit follow, hit subscribe, keep coming back. We are doing way more of these. Philosopher says, is this the new time? Yes, this is the new time. And it has been this time for, I think, more than 2 weeks now, maybe, something like that. And it's going to stay this time for at least a couple of months. So you can just get used to this time. Whew. All right, let's get into the actual stretches. We have 5 stretches. The 5th and final stretch is the side splits. And for that one, we do 3 rounds of 30 seconds. But for every other stretch, including the one that we're about to do, we're doing 1 round of 30 seconds, and then we're moving on. Everything that we do is basically to prep our muscles for something else that's about to come up. And all of that combined, including the warm-up, is to prep us for the side splits. All right, so the first stretch is the hamstring stretch. And it looks a little bit like this. We're going to focus on dropping down onto our knees. I should have said, well, I came over to the camera to grab a cushion real quick. It doesn't have to be a cushion. You can take a pair of shoes, just stick your knee right on top of that foam. You can steal your dog's bed, your least favorite child's pillow, you know, whatever gives you a little bit of cushion. Roll up a towel, carpet, cool. All right, from here, once you stick the leg, we're going to stretch out in front of you. In this case, it's my right leg. You can choose your left leg to start if you prefer. We're going to pull that leg back into the socket. All right, from the side, it looks like this. I don't want you to do this. I want you to suck it in. Pull that leg in. So that when you fold forward, you feel a lot of tension in the hamstring stretch and not some combination of stretches across a whole bunch of different muscles all at the same time. All right, so here we are. Leg pulled in. Bring the belly button down towards the leg, towards the thigh. It's going to feel intense. It's going to feel tight. I want you to take a nice, big inhale. Slowly exhale and deepen the stretch. All right, let's do another. Inhale. Exhale. Now, your leg might be super tight. Super tight. That's great. We're going to hold this for 30 seconds. Feel free to apply and continue to apply a little bit of pressure to bring your belly button even further down. And we're going to hold it for 30 seconds. Let's go. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23. If it gets too intense, you can always put your hands down and push up a little bit to relieve some pressure. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, come on out of that stretch. Your leg might be really feeling it right now, but I promise, give it 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and all of a sudden you'll forget that we did the stretch at all. Like magic. All right, let's switch over to the other side. I actually did forget which leg I just stretched. And I was like, what leg am I putting on the pillow right now? Let's go ahead, stick that leg that we're going to stretch out, pull it back into the hip socket, fold forward, bring the belly button down, feel the hamstrings tightening up. Inhale, slow exhale, get deeper. Oh, okay, let's do one more. Inhale, slow exhale, get deeper. Oh man, as that hamstring stretch gets more and more intense, maybe you're also feeling a little bit of something in your glutes. That is absolutely all right. Let's go. 30 seconds. 30, 29, 28, 27. Remember to breathe and focus on bringing your belly button down to touch your thigh. 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, we're almost done, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. Come on up into standing. You don't need the cushion anymore. You can toss it. Give your kid, your least favorite kid, their pillow back, and return their dog bed. You can put your shoes back, whatever it is that you used for a little bit of knee padding. Put it back. All right, that is the first stretch. We are going to move on into the second stretch, and it is called the butterfly or tailor's pose. I want you to go up to a wall so that you can have something to push against. In this case, the wall right behind me, but you might need a little bit of room against the wall, and that might be a little bit hard to find in your home, but you can always use a wall or door if it's a nice and strong door. So maybe it's the door to your house, not just a regular bedroom door, because some of those are pretty flimsy sometimes. If you have a really stable bookshelf, you can go ahead and use that as well, but be careful. Make sure when you're pushing into it, it feels stable. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our hips, our shoulder, our head up against the wall. We're gonna pull our feet in. When you have the wall against your back, it's way easier for you to focus on flexing the right muscles so that your knees come down into the ground. The butterfly in a tailor's pose is all about stretching this area in your body, the groin. And it's really confusing how one would do that. So the only thing you gotta focus on is bring your knees to the ground. All right. I want you to use the outer thigh muscles, the glutes, to pull your legs open, and then we will apply some pressure with our hands. So let's start by using the muscles to open it up. This is always how we want to stretch because we want our muscles to get stronger so that we can control getting into the position. And we don't want to just rely on outside forces pushing us down. We want to use our own bodies to do the work. All right. Take your hands, once you've opened up your legs as much as possible, push down. You'll feel pressure in the back of your head and your shoulders from the wall. And that's basically you pushing into the wall so that you can push into the legs and all the power gets stuck right into your body. All right, that's it. 30 seconds. Remember to breathe. Let's go. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25. Remember to breathe. Nice and slow and deep. 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. Keep on contracting those muscles in the outer thighs and the glutes. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I know I said 0, but just instead of flexing super hard right now, just relax all the muscles in your legs and see if you can get a little bit deeper when you push with just your hands now that you've relaxed. And if that's the case, then great, incredible. Flex a couple fewer muscles. It's really hard to figure out what you're flexing when you're pushing your knees down into the ground in order to open up your legs. So if you're contracting way too many muscles, sometimes you're accidentally also fighting against the stretch. So if you, at the very end, realize that, oh, wait, if I stop flexing and I just push with my hands and it goes way deeper, then you can slowly experiment with what contractions, which muscles are actually helping to pull you down deeper into the stretch versus fighting against your hands and pulling you back up. All right. It sounds really confusing, but you can slowly try this over time and see which contractions help and which contractions don't help. It's going to be hard to learn because you probably very rarely try to stretch or flex any one of the muscles in your legs or in your hips at a given time. So it's just going to be a testing process until you slowly figure it out. In fact, I'm calling it out now only because I was like, that's weird. That's not as low as I can usually go. I wonder why that is. And I realized I was flexing some of the muscles on the inner thighs unconsciously, and that's why suddenly I could go deeper afterwards. So I noticed it, and I'm calling it out because I made the mistake. All right, don't feel like, how do I figure this out? This is so hard. These are weird ideas. Yeah, it's hard. I made the mistake right there. Cool. All right, where are we at? We just finished the second stretch. Let's get into the third one, the standing pancake. Standing pancake looks just like this. We are opening up our legs nice and wide. It doesn't have to get uncomfortable in the hips. So as soon as you're uncomfortable, you can pop right back up just a little bit, remove that pressure from the hips. Then we want to focus on folding forward. So from the side, it looks like this. It looks like we're just trying to touch our toes, do a hamstring stretch, except our legs are nice and open. That is how this stretch starts. And as we progress and get better, the goal is to sort of fold our face in between our legs. Like, man, it hurts, it's hard, and it's painful. So we're going to do the variation that helps get gravity working for us. All right, and that is the standing pancake. When you are in this position, your upper body is horizontal-ish and your hips are holding you up. The way physics works is the center of gravity here, like probably in your chest-ish, is gonna pull directly at the hips and it's gonna maximize force. When you are standing up straight, there's no force. There's no folding pressure, right? Gravity is just pulling you straight down. When you're like this, there's a little bit of force, and then when you're like this, it's when all the force is coming in to pull your hips down. Cool? That's the general principle, and that means if you hold some jugs of water out in front of you like this, then you're gonna feel way more than how much the jug weighs on your hips. So that is a little secret tool you can use at any time. Standing pancake is just folding forward. I want you to try your best to keep your lower back relatively straight. If you bend a little bit, it's fine, not a big deal, but try to keep it straight because that increases the length of this lever and it helps gravity to pull you down. If it gets too intense, you can get rid of the weight, you can pull your arms back in, and you can give yourself a little break by putting your hands down on the ground. Okay, that's it. Get into position. You're gonna feel the hamstrings really tighten up. You're gonna feel the inside of your thighs really tighten up, and that's totally normal. Let's go, 30 seconds, 30, 29, really focus on bringing that belly button down. I say belly button because I don't want you to focus on bringing your head down and rounding your back. I want you to focus on bringing the belly button down, and that is the lowest point on the body. The rest of the body is straight so that gravity can do its job. All right, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, put your hands down. Come on out of that stretch. Take a break if you need to. Kneel. Breathe. That stretch is really hard because there's so much going on. Your hamstrings are holding up so much weight, and the way I teach it to you, the hamstrings are working extra hard because they're trying to get the maximum amount of gravity working for us, right? And it's pulling right on into the hip and into the hamstring. Oh, and then we got the inner thighs suffering because the only job of this muscle is to pull your leg in. So when you're doing the opposite, you're pushing the legs all the way out, they're going to be really upset with you and they're going to be really unhappy. And that, unfortunately, is totally normal. So if that was tough, that's normal. But hopefully, good vibes helps make that a little bit more bearable. Diamond says, I just split my pants doing this. No, I'm sorry. I should have warned you. Well, I guess maybe it should have been a little bit intuitive that might happen. I go out of my way to get super stretchy pants that look almost like normal pants, just so, and I guess they're a little bit baggy, but just so I can do these. And I'm sorry about your pants. Okay. Teeny or Chrissy says hello. Hello, hello, hello. Alex says, how many years before you got this good, Ken? Like technically, I've been trying to do some form of the side splits for like 15 years, but pretty much everything for the first 14 years was like I do 1 week and then I disappear for like 6 months, and I do 1 week and then I disappear for 6 months. So I didn't make any progress for the first 14 years. And that's why I started doing these every single day, because I knew that I needed to do something where I practice consistency every single day, and I didn't have that happen again for more years, if that makes sense. I have been doing this every day for about a year at this point, and yeah, that's where I'm at. Every time I do standing pancake, my knees shatter like glass. Okay, that is a really interesting comment, and maybe that applies to more people than just Alec. Let's see. If you are doing the standing pancake and your knees are getting uncomfortable, there's a couple of things you can do to adjust the intensity. Let me just test what I'm about to say before I say it so that I'm not making up stuff. Okay. One, this isn't the best way to do it necessarily, but you can turn your legs out or in a little bit to change where the pressure is hitting your knees. So that is something worth giving a try. For example, and I'm going to pull up my plants so you can see where my knees are pointing. And I'm exaggerating a little bit, so it never has to look as exaggerated as I'm doing it. If you internally rotate, so bring your toes so they point inwards, your knees are going to feel pressure a little bit differently than from when it's neutral and from when it is out. You can experiment with the direction your feet are pointing to give a little bit more relief or maybe more intensity on your knees, depending on what is going on in your knee that's making it tight. The other thing that you can do is, instead of just going into the standing pancake, you can do a variation that's a little bit easier on your hamstrings, and it might look like this. You can slightly bend the knees. It doesn't have to be a super bend, just a light bend, or whatever makes sense for your comfort. And you can focus on folding first, getting those hips and the belly button really low, and then slowly extending and straightening the leg in reverse, just like the way we do the hamstring stretch. When I recommend you bend the knee, focus on bringing your chest down to the knee and then straightening the leg. You can take that same principle and apply it to your pancake to start. You can get maximum folding here at the hips, bring your chest and belly button down, and then straighten out your legs. And that bend in the leg gives you a little bit more the bend in the leg makes it so there's a little bit less pain in the knee when it's totally locked out and straight like that. Cool? So give those a try. Let me know how they go. And we are going to move on into the fourth stretch, which is the standing pancake, stretch number 3. It's really tough on the hamstrings, and that's why we do the hamstring stretch before this and the elephant walk before that. Okay. Fourth stretch is a little bit more chill, it's a little bit more easy. We get to lie down on our backs. I think we did pigeon yesterday, so today is figure 4. Figure 4 looks like this. We'll bring our ankle up to the opposite side of our body, resting just above the knee, and we are trying to pull the belly button down towards that leg. All right, everything's about the belly button because the belly button is basically the hips, and we want the hips to fold. The stretch is going to come from out here, outer hip, side glute-ish area, and let's get right into it. The figure 4 looks like this. We are going to come on down onto our backs. We're going to take the leg we're going to stretch. We're going to cross it over, make that figure 4. We're going to reach our arms through the leg hole, reach around the leg. I'm going to just pull it in towards our chest. Hold on, let me turtle spin around. And when we pull, we want to feel the stretch here in the outer hip side of the glute area. You might feel a little bit of a stretch on the inside of your leg as well, depending on how flexible your hips are. Okay, but once you're here, you're laying down, all we have to do is pull and apply steady pressure. Let's go ahead and start that. 30, 29, 28. If your knees are feeling sensitive, you can take your hand, you can pull on your knee and apply a little bit of pressure here first, so that your legs, your hips shift and you're feeling a little bit less pressure in the knee. If you have really long arms or great hip flexibility, you can wrap your whole arm around it so that your knee joint and your elbow joint are all matched up. And I have totally forgotten to count. 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, relax. Whew. Take some nice big deep breaths. If you're really pulling hard, maybe your biceps are tired, maybe your shoulders are tired, you can give them a second. We're gonna do it again. Roll over, switch to the other side. Cross that leg over to the opposite knee. Reach your arms through and pull the knee. Cup the bent leg's knee to give it a little bit of support. If you have long arms or short, sorry, not short, long arms, or your hips are already pretty close. You can maybe match your knee bow to your elbow and give that a nice pull. All right, 30 seconds. Let's go. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. Oh no, I'm falling over. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, relax. Whew. With that, we have wrapped up everything that we got to do before the side splits. I'm going to crawl back over to the camera real quick to make sure I answer some questions before we do. The real Miss Blue asks, are you able to do the splits? No, I am not able to do the splits. I am doing them right now, and that's what makes this training super important to me, because I am really trying to get them side splits. And I share the energy, share the lives, share the things I learn while we do them together, and hopefully a bunch of other people who want to do side splits, who want to work on their hip mobility, we all hang out together and we make a bunch of progress together. Cool. The Black Sheep 2020 on YouTube says, my knees hurt too bad to do this. I saw that message come in a little bit earlier as I was walking away to do the figure 4 stretch. So I think that came in when we were bending the knees in the standing pancake. This is tough because knee pain is really challenging, and there is a lot going on in the knee for there to be knee pain. And it's going to be impossibly hard for me to give enough different variations for all sorts of pain. But I encourage you to check out Knees Over Toes Guy on YouTube, on Instagram, on what other platforms am I missing? Maybe TikTok. I don't know if he's on TikTok. And his specialty is rehabbing his knee from basically like complete knee replacement with a huge metal bone that even looks weird when he squats. Like you can see there's something going on here in the outside of his leg. And his whole entire business that he practices in real life. So he's not just an online dude magically telling you fixes. He has an actual gym and sells real products to work your joints so that you have stronger knees. That guy, Knees Over Toes Guy, is all about training up the muscles around your knee so that your knee can get stronger. There's less burden on the knee joint itself. All the muscles around support your knee. And I really like that philosophy. I've tried some of the exercises as well in a really, really gentle, like his ultra basics. And it's helped relieve a knee ache that I had for probably 4 or 5 years in about 2 months of training. I haven't done that training in like a month. And the results have more or less stayed. So I really recommend that you give it a try. And I have no financial incentive. I don't make any money off of this. I tried it. It seems to work really well. My little nagging ache that would occasionally be painful seemed to go away with relatively little intensity and relatively little work. So I'm impressed, and I recommend you go check it out. Not low back, Knees Over Toes Guy. All one super long word. Cool? All right, let's get into some side splits, everybody. Ugh. I say that, but I think right before this, I said I would check the chat. So I'm going to crawl forward and see. Oh, Witness My Fitness says, I want to see where you started. Are these the same exercises you've been doing the whole time? Yes, pretty much exactly the same exercises. I've been trying to keep this routine super similar, super easy, no thinking after I've, picked the plan. And the format has basically stayed the exact same for a whole year, right? It actually used to be even easier. Instead of 3 rounds of side splits, it used to be 1 round of side split for 30 seconds. And I think only 3 or 4 months ago did I move it to 3 rounds of 30 seconds. So it used to be even shorter and more concise. And my priority when I first started, was to make sure that I can stay consistent, because I could have the best plan for the fastest way to get into the deepest side splits, but if I didn't do it consistently, it wasn't going to happen, right? And that's what I had been doing the previous 14, 15 years. I would watch like 12 hours of YouTube videos. I'd be like, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to structure everything. And then the next day I'd be sore, so painful. And the second day I'd be like, okay, I'm going to try it. It's going to just be pure suffering. And then by the end of the week, I'd be like, all right, yeah, I'll skip a day. I need some rest. And then 6 months later, I'd be like, I never really got those side splits. I'm gonna start again, and it'd just be that pattern over and over and over again. And I'd watch 12 more videos of YouTube, or 12 more hours of YouTube, just to be sure that what I thought last time was the right thing. Like just complete wasting my time. So this time around, the goal has been to work on that consistency and to work on that first. Once I know I've got the consistency down, once I know I'm going to show up no matter what, once we have this live show, becomes much easier to go, okay, today I'm going to crank up the intensity and add in PNF stretching or whatever it is, right? So that's the origin, the backstory of why we do the lives, why I organize it in this way where we can do it every day, why it's not so intense that you have to take a day off in between. You should take days off. If you're feeling sore, if you're feeling uncomfortable, go ahead and take the day off. Give yourself a little bit more time to recover. But it's designed so that it's not so intense you need to take a day off. Cool? All right. Witness My Fitness says, I do about an hour every night for 2 months. Now I see progress. I just want to clean it up now with you. Lovely. That's incredible. An hour every night for 2 months. That is incredible consistency and a lot of time. So I appreciate it. They Call Me Honey says, let's get into it. All right. I'm sorry. Safety. Let's take one step in front of the wall. That's about 8 to 12 inches. When you fall backwards, your butt will touch the wall, your shoulder will touch the wall, whatever. It will keep you safe. So you don't just go falling backwards and slamming your butt into the ground. That is the safety spiel for today because we talked so much already. Let's open up those legs nice and wide. Focus on folding forward. Put your hands down like you're going to do a little bit of a push-up. We're shifting the weight forward into our arms so that we get into the side split position. Externally rotate your legs, which means your heels are down, your toes are up, your knees are up, and walk your hands back if you can. If you can't, you're in a side split position already, and that's perfect. You can stop right there. If you want to push yourself a little bit further, you can walk your hands back as far back as you can. And then finally, do a little wiggle from side to side. Break that last little bit of friction, holding your feet back. And once you can't get any further, let's go. 30 seconds. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20. This first round, you're going to feel real stiff, real uncomfortable, and that is fine. Once we do a little bit of relaxation after this first rep, things will start loosening up and you'll get much, much more comfortable. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, crawl your arms forward, bring your legs in, come back into standing if you can, but if you need to take a break, you can just stay kneeling for a second. And we gotta shake it out. What we just did was contracting a whole bunch of muscles, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Usually it's unintentionally because your body is designed to protect itself, and it's going to contract to keep you from going deeper into dangerous positions. Dangerous for your brain, not necessarily dangerous for you in actual real life. Just because you don't have that much power, that much control in that position, your brain's like, whoa, 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 we've never done this before. Hold up. And one of its defense mechanisms is for those muscles to contract. So the more pressure we put into it, the more intense that contraction is, the more we need to relax those muscles before we get into the second round. So flop those legs, shake them out, wiggle, be a noodle, loosen all of those muscles. When your leg is starting to feel very loose, then we're going to do a couple of quick joint checks, then get back into round 2 of side splits. All right, we're going to do a couple of quick hip circles just to make sure everything is feeling nice and smooth. You don't have to do too many knee raises. And then we're going to do some quarter squats just to put a little pressure into our knees, a little pressure into our ankles. Do a couple of these calf raises to make sure your toes and feet, everything is working pretty smoothly. And then we are ready. Take a nice big deep breath. Exhale. Relax that body a little bit. Let's get into round 2 of the side splits. Again, for safety, I recommend you stand 1 footstep-ish away from the wall so that if you fall backwards, your butt, your shoulders will catch you. Just remember to tuck your head so that you don't smash your head into the wall first. Cool? Open up those legs, nice and wide. Put your hands down. Externally rotate the legs from this position so that your toes are up, your heels are down, your knees are pointing up. Do that on both legs. You might notice that you can immediately slip out into a much deeper position than that first time you got into it 45 seconds ago. Walk your hands back towards your hips. You might notice that after relaxing, it's a lot more comfortable to get back into this position. Maybe you're ready much deeper than before. And let's do that last little bit of a wiggle to break the friction. And 30 seconds. Let's go. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, walk your hands forward, crawl, bring your legs in, rest for a second if you need to. You probably need more rest than on that first one, so give yourself a break. Shift those hips around and come back into standing. Let's shake it out. You can start the shaking, the flopping, the wiggling, nice and gentle. Doesn't have to be super intense on the first couple of reps. As you get more relaxed and more loose, you can flop a little bit harder. Most of the flop that I'm currently doing is coming sort of from the hip and the knees, and I guess the ankles. That is good. I want you to add a little bit of a wiggle. Rotate the leg from in to out a little bit, and add that in as well. It doesn't have to be super precise. It doesn't have to be super perfect that we're going in, out, in, out, in, out, right? Because that's the opposite of being relaxed and loose. But I want you to try to do that while flopping around. And that helps you hit a little bit more of the musculature in that leg and in that hip when you're doing it. All right, shake, 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 shake. Flop, 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 flop. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. And once your legs are starting to feel a little bit more relaxed, maybe they're not that good, maybe you're still feeling a little bit of tension here, we'll do a couple more of the joint checks and then give a last and final shake before we do our third and final side split. All right, the reason why we do these is because, or the reason why we feel so much relaxation and shaking in between our side splits is because our body needs a little bit of a rest, a little bit of a break in between each of the side splits. And we want to prepare our body so that it's as relaxed and as loose as possible for the next one. All right, we did our hip circles. Gonna do some mini squats, go up onto those toes, and one last final shake. Let's get into the third and final side split stretch. I'm on TikTok real quick to slide the little puzzle piece so that it won't completely block off my screen. And let's go. Let's get 8 to 12 inches from that wall. so that when we fall, we stay safe. Tuck the head if you start falling backwards so you don't smash your head into the wall, all right? Open up those legs nice and wide. Put your hands down like you're gonna do a push-up. Externally rotate the legs so that your heels are down, your toes are up, and your knees are up. Walk your hands back towards your hips. See if you can just wiggle your way down into a nice and deep side split position. Hopefully it feels comfortable. Hopefully it feels a little easier than the first 2 rounds because we took a lot of time to relax your legs in between each round. And now it's time for our last 30 seconds. Let's go. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25. You can add a wiggle at any time to see if you can push your legs a little bit further out. 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17. If you have locked your arms out this whole time, experiment with bending your arms. You'll feel suddenly a whole bunch more weight in your legs. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, walk those hands forward. Come on, pull the legs in. It's going to be a little bit more difficult this third time around pulling the legs in. So go ahead and take a second to relax. That was our last stretch. And now all we're going to do is make sure our legs are working, our legs are moving well, so that when you go back to your normal life, doing whatever it is, you won't suddenly be like, oh no, my leg is so weak. What's happening? Cool. Shake those legs out. Shake, 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 shake. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Flop, 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 flop. What we're doing is forcefully making sure that our muscles are relaxed, right? They don't flop if they're tight. If they're tight, then you look like a really fast robot, maybe. All right? But if they're flopping around, those muscles are relatively loose, and you can use this in between any exercise where you're resting. If you're bodybuilding, you're doing, push-ups, calisthenics, and you're taking your 2-minute break in between some sets, I promise if you shake out your body, if you loosen it in between each set, you'll be able to eke out a tiny bit more in the actual exercise that you're doing when you do it. Cool? All right. Once your legs are feeling a little bit better, I want you to really focus on the hips and the leg rotating in the hips. If you don't want to do dance moves, you can just do a couple more hip cars. But if you want, you can just do some stanky leg, bring the knees in, just work on that hip rotation for a little bit. Give yourself a little tiny massage. Maybe this isn't so tiny, it's kind of aggressive, but give yourself a leg massage, and then we'll do a final little bit of checks. Hip circles, both directions, high knees, mini squats. Put a little pressure into the ankles, the knees, the toes. Do that little calf raise to make sure your feet are working well. And with that, we are all done. Come on over to the camera. I'm gonna review the chat. Make sure there's anything I need to address. Address, not adjust. Ganowski says, I'm so sorry I missed this. Don't be sorry. It's totally okay. We're here every day. Missing one is absolutely fine. Ganowski is one of our super regulars at this point. Aside from today, I think she's been here for pretty much every single live for over a month at this point. So that is an insane amount of consistency. You don't need to do any better. You're great. They call me honey, says thanks for that. Oh, of course. That's what we're here to do. Keeping side splits fun, bring good vibes, making the struggle a little bit more bearable. Gayeta says, I needed to miss yesterday, but I'm happy I came back. Yes. Yes. I'm glad that you felt so good coming back, that you had the incentive, or sorry, you had the calling to write that in the chat, because that is a super important message that I want to share with everybody in the call, right? You might miss today, you might miss yesterday, but what matters is that you keep on pushing a little bit making a little bit of effort to keep going. It doesn't matter, if this is the side splits and you keep coming back to my thing. Whatever it is that you're pursuing in life, it's going to be impossible to be consistent every single day. And if you're filling out charts, you're checking off boxes, you're like, oh, I covered every single day, but I missed this day. And you get emotionally attached to that. Try not to, right? Like things happen. Life is complicated, is painful. All we care about is making sure you come back and do another day as soon as possible. Cool? And in this case, come back to life. We're here, bring the vibes. Every time you come back and you remember it's awesome here, I love that too. So, keep coming back. My dear Cher I didn't know you did this every day. Start time? Yes. We started about an hour ago. It's currently 10:04 in the East Coast of the US, and we start at 9 o'clock East Coast. But since you're asking on TikTok, if you go to my profile, there's a little button at the bottom of the bio that says live, and it'll say what time it is for your time zone. It has not been scheduled yet, but it will be scheduled really soon because I'm currently doing the live for today's thing that's scheduled. But yeah, it's started an hour ago and it's gonna be that same time every single day for at least the next couple months. Cool. Judy says, I'm old. Help. That is very vague. I need help. Give me some more context. Give me some more information, and I can at least point you in the right direction. All right. Let's see. Reed and Hero says, "Let's go, y'all." I love the energy. Thank you. Sheena, it's good to see you. I don't know when you came in, but I love that you're sending hashtag FYP. I appreciate your support. Let's see. Scrolling. See if there's anything else I need to address way up from before that I missed, and then I'll be right back down into the beginning of the chat. Do you have your day one video? Yes. It's not on YouTube because I started YouTube way after. The day one video is on Instagram, and the Instagram account is @splits on the side. It is the same username as on TikTok and YouTube. And if you scroll all the way down, that first day one video is really awkward because I wasn't intending for anybody to see it. It was more like a log for me. But day two is a little bit better, and you can check out both of those. Alex says, I can do pointed out. Yes, sir. The bend is intense, but better for my long legs. Good, Alec. That is a really good point. If you have really long legs, this is the basic physics thing. There's a lot more pressure and a lot more leverage when your limbs are longer. So even if, how do I say this? Even if it feels like you're carrying less weight, if you have really long limbs, that less weight will feel way more intense at the joint, at the muscle that's performing the work because of leverage. So me curling 20 pounds versus somebody with an arm that's like twice as long, which would be a little bit ridiculous. I don't know who has, but follow the example. Twice as long arms, that 20-pound weight getting curled is going to feel like the equivalent of me curling like 40 pounds, right? So Alec with longer legs, if you need to make adjustments because it puts a lot of pressure on your knees, do it. All right, keep on going. Alex says consistency is key. Makes sense though. Good. All right, I think I've covered most of the chats that go in pretty far back. In California, it is currently 7 p.m. Yes, that's correct. So if you're operating California time, we start live at 6 o'clock. My dear Cher says, awesome, I can make that. Kids in bed at 8. Nice. Then you can't steal the least favorite child's pillow. So that's a bummer. I guess you'll have to get a dog bed instead. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. All right, let's pop over onto the YouTube side real quick and see what we got here. Mental Tan Kun Suman 6984 says, hey bro, can you show some leg strengthening techniques for running? Yes, I can do that in 1 sec. Let me just look at all the other chats real quick. Tesla says, hi, hello. 1XEB says, the pain started in the lateral side of the knee just after running for 3 days. Pain only during running. What to do? The pain, okay. Wow, those are very specific questions. The lateral side of the knee. You're using like super technical body anatomy language. So I feel like you probably know what you need to do even more than I do. But let me think about that for a second. On the lateral side of the knee, you're doing running. The pain is only in the running. I wonder if you are rotating your feet out, maybe not much, maybe just a little bit, when you're running, and that is putting pressure onto your knee because your ankle is flopping a little bit this way when you step down. I mean, I'm exaggerating so that my the side of my foot is coming all the way down, but the lateral side of the knee should be the outside. The inside is called the medial because it's towards the middle of your body. So if you're talking about this on the outside, I think maybe if your foot is landing and you're putting a lot of pressure into it and is landing in the way where the inside of your foot is tilting up and the bottom of your foot is tilting down a little bit more, there's going to be a little bit more pressure here on the knee. Maybe when you're walking, you don't feel that pressure, but when you're running and you're doing that over and over again with high pressure, you'll probably feel a little bit more tension there. So I recommend you experiment a little. It could just be the foam in your shoes are really thick and it just doesn't suit your style of running. Maybe if you try to jog a little bit barefoot, it will change. Maybe if you try a different pair of shoes, it will change. Give that a try, and that's probably the most information I can give you. I think if you're only feeling the pain when running, then you probably need to do some adjustment to your running form and strengthen the joints around or strengthen the muscles around your knee. Cool. There's a great guy called Knees Over Toes guy who breaks down some really great exercises for strengthening the muscles around your knee. And he's on Instagram and YouTube, so you can check that out. Again, it's Knees Over Toes guy. You can throw that in the search bar. I think on some platforms he has the Knees Over Toes guy, and I never remember which one. Okay, let's see what else we got. Queen RRRR is responding in the chat for me. Thank you so much. Eduardo wrote something. Here in Brazil, and I don't know the rest of the words. I'm sorry. Cool. Before we talk about leg running skills, I'm gonna check the chat on TikTok one more time. Guy that says, "Okay, chat. Good night. Time to play Honka. Enjoy your video games." I'm glad that you were able to squeeze in some stretching, some fitness in before the video games, and you get to reward yourself extra for doing the stretches. It's smart. Judy says, "Stretch feels great. Getting sore though." Ooh, okay. If you are getting sore and you're just getting started in the workout, feel free to take a day off or to just work on listening to the instructions on tomorrow's live because there's a lot to say, and I don't think I cover everything every single day. So occasionally I'll throw in something specific, and it just because this is live and there's a lot of people on, I don't explain everything. I try my best to squeeze in a lot of stuff. That's why it runs a little bit long, because I want to be very encouraging to beginners who can come in with no information and get basically into the right exercise. But it does take a little bit of time to sort of pick out all the points that are relevant for you and what you're doing on any given day, right? So if you do want to practice consistency in the form of coming to the live tomorrow, then instead of going as intense as you did today, you can dial back the intensity and really focus on sort of the other notes that I have about the stretch, right? But by all means, if you're feeling sore, you can take a day off and rest, recover, enjoy the idea that you get a day off so that you can come back the day after that and you'll be more rested and you'll be more excited for some side splits. Cool? All right. Milan sent some hearts. Lovely. Thank you so much. Elliot Entertainment says hi. Hello. Cool. All right. So we had a question in the other chat that on YouTube that was about strength while running. The running muscles are really interesting because it depends on what type of running that you're trying to do. If you are trying to sprint, then your goal is to generate as much power as possible. And if you are just trying to do long distance running, you still want to do some strengthening, but it's more important that you're focused on endurance in general. So I don't really have any information about long distance running because I don't like long distance running. And um, consistency is the issue that I'm trying to address. Long distance running makes consistency really hard for me. So I prefer sprinting, and that is definitely what I have you know, a little bit more experience talking about. Um, so I'm gonna do that. Cool, cool. So I have personally watched a lot of YouTube videos on sprinting and building power in this. So I think I'm going to do my best to summarize some of the main principles on strength building for the sprinting world. Or, hopefully you're just a regular runner, right? Like if you're a pro sprinter already and you're asking me for advice and you're just like trolling me, that would be mean. But you're just a normal dude trying to work on some sprinting skills, trying to get a little bit faster. Um, we can talk. The big thing is generating as much force as you can when you are pushing off the ground, right? And that comes from a lot of different places. One, basically you can train sort of this jumpy power generating type of move, and that will transfer pretty well into the sprinting. But you're also sort of dragging your foot and pushing back. So there is a moment in time where you're bending your knee and you're pulling the leg back. And when you're sprinting, you're going super fast. When you extend your leg, you have to control it to keep it from flopping forward, right? Because you're throwing your hips so hard that this leg wants to go flying out if it was relaxed. So you want to strengthen the hamstrings and you want to strengthen the hip flexors so you can really drive your knee into the air. You want to, what else? You want to get really fast coming off the floor and explosive. You want to, I'm trying to just, my brain is just flashing visually through old YouTube videos from like 10 years ago when I cared about sprinting. So there's knee drive, there's powering off the floor, it's working the hips. I think those are the big ones. I think focusing on those three pieces will get you really, really strong and far in running. But running is one of those things where the faster you are, the more like just pressing the button on the timer is gonna make a difference on what your progress looks like, right? So sprinting is extra hard because you're counting fractions of a second versus in a long distance run. If you made a 10% difference over the course of 1 mile or 5 miles or 5K, 3.2 miles, that is a very measurable difference, right? You got a whole minute. But to shave off 2 seconds, there's a whole bunch more problems in your thumb pressing the button at the right time and thumb pressing the button off at the right time. So it's going to be way harder to see if you're making progress short term, and you have to train for way longer to sort of like see a super measurable difference in your sprint times. So what did I cover? You want to be explosive. You want to be fast. You want to bounce up. So train for that type of motion if you're doing something more sprinty and more explosive. If you are doing more long distance, I really have no idea. I think it's probably focused on conservation of energy so that you can keep going for as long as possible, but I don't know. Cool. Cool. 1X says, thanks for the valuable insights watching from India. Lovely. You're welcome. Milan Buli says, you're the only normal person on this YouTube live. Oh, on YouTube lives. Okay, in period. I'm the only normal person. I don't know what that says about the state of YouTube, but I appreciate that my differentiator is that I'm just a normal dude. Okay. I'm gonna pop right back into TikTok now, and Alex says, "I love long distance running. Definitely the slower pace, the better." And Judy says, "Love the slower pace." I like it in principle. I don't like it in action. In high school, I joined the cross country team, and I was really good at sprinting at the very end and like passing a bunch of people because they were all burned out by the end. Um, but I was horrible on actually keeping up my pace throughout the race. And this is, I'm just competing at like a little high school level, right? So nothing super crazy or intense. Um, yeah, I don't know if it's the high school kid brain in me going, I wasn't really particularly skilled at that, so I don't like it anymore. Or if it's actually me going, yeah, I don't I don't like long distance running. Um, because that's really the only time I've done a significant amount of consistent long distance running because I had a sport, I had a team, I was showing up with people that I care about, I had friends, and yeah, I don't know. All right, I think it's time. We are ready to wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed the live. I hope you enjoyed the stretching. I hope the Q&A was somewhat valuable at the end, but mostly I hope you had fun and you feel like it was rewarding to stretch. Cool. I'm wrapping up for today. I will see you tomorrow. If you enjoyed the live, follow, subscribe, do all those cool things, and keep coming back so we can practice a little bit of consistency. Cool. Good night. Bye-bye. Oh. We got one more comment that came in last second. I feel pain in the inner lateral side of the knee. Does that mean my foot go outside during running? Ah, okay. The inner lateral side of the knee. Okay, so that's the medial side. Does that mean my foot? Oh, actually, the inner of the lateral side of the knee. Does that mean my foot goes outside during running? It could mean that. Um, Usually, if you're feeling a little bit of discomfort in the knee from running and you've never had it before and it's not showing up at any other point, I think it implies that you're putting force into the knee at an angle that you are not used to, that you're not conditioned for. So if you're only experiencing it during running, I think it's definitely possible that maybe your feet are landing a little bit off. So it's putting force up the leg into the knee at an angle. And maybe the angle is super small, super tiny, but because you're doing it while running with all that force slamming into your knee, it's causing discomfort. That is definitely possible. I think one of the things that you can try to do to adjust is really focus on running technique. I can't really help you with that, but there's a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube where people who run barefoot, for example, focus on trying to get a very specific form. Um, Maybe go on Reddit and research, like in the barefoot running community, what they recommend, because it's probably not the top big influencer that talks about barefoot running, right? It's going to be some weird PhD guy who loves the topic and is really got expertise. Um, find that resource and try to figure out how to do it without shoes. And then once you do it with shoes, you'll be able to see the difference. And maybe you need to train your foot to be a little bit different. Maybe like you don't have to run that much, right? Like I'm just talking about the form to see if it feels less painful on your knee, right? Because we don't know what is causing your discomfort. And if it is your foot landing weird, is it your shoes that's causing your feet to land weird? Is it the environment causing your feet to land weird? For example, if you are on a road that's designed to let water flow off the sides, so the middle of the road is slightly higher than the outsides of the road, and you run on the outside of the road, then there's going to be a slight change in the angle of the road. If you only run on one side of the road, then you're always running and your one side is going to be lower than the other side all the time. And it's going to be at a slight angle too. So those little things that you're not even conscious of could be changing your running form. So if you run the same path all the time and your knee keeps on hurting, if you go backwards down that same path, like the right side of the road, if you turn around and run the other direction and there's no pain, then maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's the road that is causing your foot to go weird. But if it's not the road, maybe your foot is doing something that is causing your knee to be not happy. Maybe it's the combination of your shoes and your feet that's causing your knee to be unhappy. The only thing that you can really do is start troubleshooting and figure out where it could be coming from. Cool. All right. That's it for me. I hope that was helpful. And that's it. Hope you had fun. Hope you come back to the live. We do this every single day to practice consistency. And for people who just popped in the last 30 seconds, we do 60 minutes of live side split stretching every single day to practice consistency. And we end with Q&A conversation to unwind. But most of it is side split stretching. If you're interested, you can go back onto the profile and figure out which of the like 200 videos that we've done in the last couple of months is cool for you. But realistically, it's way more fun to come to the lives, engage in the chat, hang out while we do the stretches together. You don't need to know anything. We do the side splits from the warm up all the way into the side splits itself, and I explain everything as we go. So if that sounds interesting, hit follow, hit subscribe, do all those cool things, and I will see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, which is an hour and a half ago. Cool? Okay, bye. You're very welcome. 1x.